The city of Walking Dead. The city once roared with life, but now it lay under a blanket of silence. Empty streets, abandoned cars, and tattered billboards told a story of sudden collapse. Somewhere in the distance, the sound of dragging feet and faint growls echoed between skyscrapers. Ethan, a former paramedic, moved cautiously through an alley, his breath misting in the cold morning air. His eyes scanned for movement, his ears trained for the telltale groan of the undead. Every step was measured, one wrong move meant death. A thick fog rolled in from the river, swallowing the city blocks. From within it, shadowy figures emerged, dozens of zombies, swaying and jerking forward, their dead eyes locked on the scent of human flesh. Ethan scrambled up a fire escape and onto a rooftop, heart pounding. From above, he could see the sheer scale of the outbreak. The streets were rivers of moving corpses, their moans blending into a nightmarish symphony. From the corner of the rooftop, a static-filled radio crackled to life. A desperate voice spoke. "If anyone is alive, meet at the old transit station by nightfall. We have a way out." It was the first human voice Ethan had heard in weeks. He climbed down, tightening his grip on a blood-stained crowbar, and began weaving through alleyways. The dead turned toward him with snapping jaws, forcing him into a relentless sprint through the city's decaying heart. Reaching the old transit station, Ethan found its entrance choked with overturned benches and burned-out vehicles. He slipped inside, the air thick with rot. Dim emergency lights flickered over torn posters and trails of blood leading deeper into the tunnels. A group of survivors was barricaded behind old ticket booths, fending off a horde forcing its way through the shattered turnstiles. Ethan dove in, swinging his crowbar, the metallic crunch of bone mixing with the screams of the dying. Just as the barricade began to give way, a hidden maintenance door slid open. Inside, an old subway train idled, humming faintly. The survivors poured in, slamming the doors as claws and teeth scraped against the windows. The train roared into the darkness, leaving the city behind. From the window, Ethan watched the skyline vanish into black smoke, knowing that even if they escaped, the Walking Dead were spreading, and the world would never be the same. To be continued, please view and subscribe.
The deeper the train went, the darker it became. Flickering lights revealed rats scurrying along the tracks and something else, moving unnaturally fast. A guttural snarl erupted from the back of the carriage. Ethan's stomach turned as a mangled zombie, wedged between two cars, clawed its way inside. The survivors screamed, trapped in the narrow space. Ethan swung his crowbar, cracking bone, blood spraying against the steel walls. Outside, more hands began to slam against the windows as the train rattled forward. Then came a violent jolt. Sparks rained from the ceiling as the train screeched to a halt. The conductor's voice was frantic. The tracks ahead had collapsed into a yawning pit. They had no choice but to leave the train. Grabbing what little they had, they stepped into the tunnels. The subway stretched endlessly. Some paths flooded, others blocked by rubble. Every sound seemed amplified: the drip of water, the groan of metal, and the constant shuffle behind them. In the distance, a lantern glow illuminated graffiti. "Safe house ahead, keep moving." Hope flickered, and they pushed on, ignoring the cold air that pressed heavier with every step. Rounding a corner, they froze. The floor was carpeted in human bones, not clean. Dozens of zombies crouched in the shadows, feasting. One lifted its head slowly, blood dripping from its mouth, and roared. The group ran blindly, the lantern swinging wildly. Shadows of the undead grew larger on the tunnel walls, their snarls echoing closer and closer. They burst through a rusted metal door into a dimly lit safe house. Relief lasted only seconds. The survivors inside were feral, their eyes hollow with hunger. They weren't welcoming guests, they were predators in human skin. Ethan gripped his crowbar, heart pounding. Outside, the horde pounded on the door. Inside, desperate eyes closed in. There was no safe place left, only choices. And someone would have to be sacrificed.
Please
View
and subscribe for next episode. Thanks.
Inside the tense safe house, a small voice cut through the chaos. "Dad?" Ethan froze. From the corner, two frightened children emerged, a teenage girl clutching her little brother close. His breath caught as he recognized them. It was Lily and Sam, his children. He dropped his crowbar and ran to them, wrapping them both in a desperate embrace. Tears mixed with dirt on his face. "Where's your mother?" he asked, voice trembling. Lily shook her head, eyes brimming. She didn't make it. She told us to run." The weight of her words hit Ethan like a hammer. Memories of his wife's laughter flashed in his mind, now forever gone. He swallowed the grief, forcing himself to be strong for them. "We're together now," he whispered. "I'm not losing either of you." The pounding on the safe house door grew louder. Ethan grabbed his children's hands, pushing past the armed scavengers. A tense standoff ended with Ethan smashing a window and leading his kids into the cold tunnels outside. The horde followed. Their moans filled the tunnels as Ethan carried Sam while Lily ran beside him, swinging a metal pipe at anything that got too close. Every step was a fight to keep breathing. They reached a section of tunnel waist deep in water. Zombies splashed through behind them. Ethan struggled to keep Sam above the water while Lily waded ahead, her face pale but determined. Emerging from the tunnels, they found themselves on a narrow service bridge above a deep maintenance shaft. The way forward was blocked by debris and the horde was closing in fast from behind. In that moment, Lily made a choice. She turned to Ethan, tears in her eyes. "Dad, take Sam, go." Before he could protest, she pushed her little brother into his arms and ran toward the horde, screaming to draw them away. Her voice echoed in the darkness as she disappeared beneath a wave of the undead. Ethan's chest felt like it was collapsing, but he ran with Sam clinging to him, forcing himself forward. Behind them, the bridge shook with the sound of tearing flesh and the guttural roars of the dead. They finally emerged from a hidden maintenance exit into the gray light of morning. The city lay silent, save for distant moans. Ethan fell to his knees clutching Sam, his heart torn between the relief of saving his son and the crushing grief of losing Lily. He knew this world would take more from them, but for now, he held his boy and whispered, "We keep moving. For her."
Please, view and subscribe. Thanks.
The day wore on, the sun climbing behind a haze of smoke. Ethan and the ragged survivors trudged through empty streets. Their stomachs ached, their mouths dry. Even Sam's voice had gone quiet from exhaustion. Every building they searched had already been looted shelves stripped bare, floors littered with broken glass. The city felt picked clean, like a carcass long picked over by vultures. Then, through the cracked windows of an abandoned cafe, Ethan spotted it across the street stood a large supermarket, its sign still hanging, swaying faintly in the wind. Hope turned to dread. Between them and the store stretched an unbroken mass of the undead thousands, maybe millions, packed shoulder to shoulder, swaying and groaning, a living sea of death. They ducked into a ruined storefront to talk. "We move at night," Ethan whispered. "Stay low, stay quiet. We stick together, or we don't make it." Nods passed through the group, though fear was written on every face. Night fell like a shroud. They moved slowly, weaving between abandoned cars and rubble. The stench was overwhelming, the smell of rot and wet decay. The dead were everywhere, their pale faces drifting past like ghosts. A sudden clatter, a metal can rolling across the pavement. One of the survivors had tripped. The groans turned into howls as the first wave lunged. Chaos erupted. Ethan swung his crowbar with brutal precision, each strike costing him precious energy. All around, survivors screamed as the horde closed in. Blood sprayed the cracked asphalt. They managed to push forward, but two survivors went down under snapping jaws, their cries cut short by the wet sound of tearing flesh. No one could stop if they wanted to live. Someone hurled a Molotov, flames erupting in the street, scattering the front line of the dead. For a moment, the group pressed forward, bathed in the flickering orange glow of fire. The deeper they went, the denser the crowd became. Each step meant shoving past clawing arms, ducking under reaching hands. The air was thick with the stench of blood and death. Sam clung to Ethan's back as they moved, His small hands trembled but never let go. Ethan's arms burned from swinging the crowbar, but stopping wasn't an option. A young woman screamed as a zombie grabbed her hair, dragging her into the mass. Ethan reached for her, but another survivor pulled him away, though couldn't save her. Her screams faded into gurgles. By the time they reached the final stretch, half the group was gone. Their absence was a silent wound no one dared speak of, the kind that weighed heavier than hunger. The supermarket was just ahead. "Go!" Ethan shouted, and they ran, throwing everything they had left into one last desperate charge. The dead clawed at their heels. They smashed through the glass doors, shoving shelves against the entrance as the horde slammed into it from the outside, the glass trembling with every impact.
Please, view, and subscribe. Thanks.
Inside the supermarket, survivors tense as a squad of armed soldiers in fatigues bursts through the side entrance, rifles raised, dust and sunlight behind them. Ethan shields his son instinctively before the soldiers lower their weapons. The soldiers reveal they are part of a research unit, seeking a hidden facility rumored to contain a device capable of eradicating the undead plague. Suspicion lingers in every glance as soldiers and civilians weigh trust against desperation. By lantern light, the survivors and soldiers plan their route through the city ruins. Maps spread across dusty shelves, whispered strategy, the weight of hope heavy in the silence. On the march, the combined group collides with a massive horde. Gunfire lights up the night, bullets ripping through zombies, survivors swinging pipes and blades at close range. The streets echo with screams. A middle-aged survivor who once shared food with Ethan is dragged screaming into the horde, his body torn apart as the group fights desperately to move forward. The boy hides his face in his father's shoulder. Two soldiers hold a barricade at a narrow alley, pouring bullets into the swarm while shouting for the others to run. They are overwhelmed, torn down under a flood of undead, their sacrifice echoing through the night. In a burned-out van, they discover the corpse of a dead researcher, clutching a blood-stained notebook. The soldiers say it confirms the location of a facility containing the weapon they seek. Hope and dread rise together. Crossing an open street, explosions from earlier military strikes still smolder. Zombies stumble through the fire and ash as the survivors sprint across, dodging both flame and teeth. Another soldier falls to the chaos. Ethan kneels by a fallen survivor he once promised to protect. His hands shake as he clutches the bloodied body, his son tugging at him to move on. Grief hardens into cold resolve. At a collapsed bridge, thousands of zombies choke the riverbed, a sea of rotting bodies. The survivors climb across wrecked vehicles strung like stepping stones, losing 2 more men to the swarm below. Exhausted, the remnants of the group collapse in a crumbling church. The stained glass glows faintly in the moonlight. They pray not out of faith, but out of fear. Silence grips them. As they near the facility, the group is ambushed by a massive horde. The commanding officer shoves Ethan forward, yelling for him to save the boy. He stays behind with 2 men, opening fire until they are drowned in darkness. The survivors stagger onward, only Ethan, his son, 1 other survivor, and 3 battered soldiers remain. Their faces are hollow with loss, their steps driven only by the faint glow of hope. At dawn, through fog and ruin, they finally see it. A reinforced underground entrance, half buried in rubble, faint lights flickering within. The place where humanity's last weapon sleeps.
Please, view, and subscribe for more Walking Dead.
As the heavy door groans open, Ethan pulls his son close. Behind him lie the bodies of friends, soldiers and innocents lost to the endless swarm. A ahead lies the only chance left to end the nightmare. The boy looks up at his father, eyes filled with both fear and fragile hope. Inside the underground facility, silence reigns. Empty labs, overturned gurneys, shattered glass. Only Ethan, his son Sam, and a single battered soldier remain. The others had fallen at the entrance, their screams fading into the dark. The three move cautiously, shadows swallowing their every step. They reach a massive steel door. With a screech, it opens to reveal the heart of the facility, a glowing chamber filled with humming machines and a cylindrical device covered in warning signs. The soldier whispers, This is it. The cure. The soldier explains. The device can emit a wave that burns out the infection across the city, but it requires manual activation from inside. A one-way mission. Ethan steps forward, but the soldier places a hand on his chest. You've got a boy to protect. Let me do this. Through a thick glass window, Ethan and Sam watch as the soldier enters the chamber, placing his trembling hand on the controls. Lights flare, alarms wail, and the machine roars to life. The soldier gives one last salute through the glass, before vanishing in the blinding white light. The city above is washed in silence. The moans of the dead fade into nothing. Streets once crawling with corpses now lie still. Ethan kneels beside his son on a rooftop at sunrise, smoke curling in the distance. Sam grips his father's hand. Ethan whispers, voice breaking, "It's over, son. We live for them." The screen fades to black with the sound of wind sweeping through empty streets. The end. Please, view and subscribe for more.